What's going on, keepers? I'm Kane and this is Noodle. And today we're going to do something I haven't done before. We're going to make a custom background for a terrarium. So stick around and see how it turns out. So let's get this thing going. So what we got here is a 20-gallon long aquarium. And as I stated in a video before, I just happen to have this in my shed here. It's a little acrylic door that can turn an aquarium into a terrarium if you glue it on the front. Now currently, Fluffy, our Leachianus gecko, is in this right here, which is a 12 by 12 by 18. This isn't much bigger. It's a 12 by 12 by, I think, 24. So he's getting like an extra 6 inches. But you know, it is an upgrade. It's a little bigger for him, and it's something for us to play around with. Now, I've never done one of these custom backgrounds. I've seen people do it quite a bit, and they swear it's easy, but I've always been a little intimidated by it, because you know, you feel like you're going to mess something up. But nevertheless, we're going to give it a try on this because I already have the tank and I already have the door, so why not? So this right here, most people's heard of it. It's called Great Stuff. They have a Great Stuff up to 1 inch. This is up to 3 inches. So it's supposed to put a little bit more foam out than the other. Alright, so we're going to get a little closer here. I'm going to lay this down. What we're going to do, well, before I get started, I kind of, before the video, got an idea of how I wanted to do it, but let me kind of play around with this for just a second here, so I can kind of visualize it before I glue it. Now this is just some old wood that I already had laying around. Michelle can tell you I'm kind of a driftwood hoarder. I've got a whole yard full of driftwood that I've saved up. Alright, well, we got a rough idea of what I might like to do. So let's start out here. We're just going to work on kind of covering the entire background. Oh, I already messed up here, but that's alright. So, you want to keep it a certain amount off of the bottom for your substrate. Alright, now that right there is not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and warn you, you don't want to get this stuff on you. It is a mess, it's hard to get off your hands, it's very sticky. So what we're going to do here, we're going to try to make a couple of little anchor points to just glue this in place. Now, what I should have done is come up with a way to tape this beforehand, because this is probably not going to want to stay. So it's like, I'm going to figure it out right here, one way or another. Let's see. Alright, so you're going to notice there's an extra stick in here. We had to pause the video and I had to get Michelle to hold it for a second. I had to run out and get a hot glue gun here because I did not plan ahead. why you think smarter, not harder. You can learn from my mistake here. I didn't prep ahead to get it to hold. Got caught in a tight spot, but sometimes you gotta improvise. Alright. Now, like I said, we're going to be making a complete mess with all this glue and spray foam, but every bit of it will get covered up and masked and hid. There's no issue. Just stick around in the video and you'll see how we're going to take care of all this. Sweet. I did make quite a bit of mess with that foam right there, but like I said, no problem whatsoever. Once once this stuff dries, you can take a razor scraper, it'll just scrape right off of that glass. Alright, 1 second, we'll be right back with you. Alright, so one thing I failed to mention is all the stuff that we have gotten for this video is mostly from Lowe's. So the Great Stuff spray foam, these are some Jiffy planter pots. Now I did want to find the little plastic planter pots. They're a little bit smaller, but honestly this was the smallest thing I could find. A lot of the plants you'll be seeing towards later on in the video, a lot of things we source from Lowe's. We'll point those out as we go, but I think these will do fine. I guess it's more or less just some condensed paper towels or cardboard, but I think it'll work for the job. And honestly, it's our only option unless I want to make my own cups, because they didn't have nothing smaller than this. So I just don't want it to be too big. I don't want it to take up the whole terrarium. Let's see. Maybe something like that. Now hopefully this is gonna work out all right. All right, yeah, sweet. It's got just thick enough. See, some of this up here is already dry, as you can see. Well, that's a little bit more dense. It's still set up. Now I think I might be almost about out of this can. Ooh. Let's see. We got some paper towels here, honey. Something. Let's see if I can wipe this off right here. That might help right there. There we go. What we're doing here, we just want to make some spots where we can plant in this terrarium. I guess I had quite a bit left in this can. Nice. You know what, how about we just, yeah, go ahead and connect that in right there. As you'll see, once we get into this, we're going to make it all blend together into one thing. And hopefully, it's going to look pretty nice. Alright, we're going to go ahead and pause right there. Get a few more of these in, you kind of get the idea, and we'll check back with you in a minute. Alright guys, what's going on? It's been a few days because life is busy. But when we left off, we put in our first pot. So now what has happened is we put in 4 total planting pots. And the other thing I did is I filled in behind all these branches, because I didn't want like the dead space behind it for like the lychee or whatever future animal uses this to get behind it and get trapped where I can't get to them. And I had a piece of bark that I just went ahead and stuck in there. And other than that, I know it looks a lot different than when we checked out, but honestly I didn't do a whole lot more. I just put those pots in and filled in behind those. The thing with that expanding foam is it expands, so this is how it's ended up. And as you can see, our sticks turned out good. I mean, everything right here is solid. No geckos falling down. I guess that one didn't stick to the glass, but that's okay. We might even just cut that one off right there since it's not sticking. But anyway, yeah, it's turning out great. So phase 2, I'm gonna go ahead and lay this down. One other thing I guess I forgot to point out is our substrate layer. We left this part empty for our background because this is gonna be filled up with substrate anyway. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and lay this down right here. All right, so what I've got here is I got my drill. I like flex tools, whatever drill you want. I'm gonna try an extension here. I think, I don't know if it's gonna work out good or not. Let's see. And what we're gonna do to take care of a majority of it is I've got this wire bristle brush right here. So, let's see. Well, anyway, so what you gotta do, silicone won't stick to this expanded foam on its own. You have to rough up the surface. So for the majority of it, we're gonna put this wire bristle brush on the end of our drill, and we're gonna go through and just kind of sand the foam and rough it up. To all the other areas we can't get to or clean it up we need to do, we've got a razor blade and a scraper blade. So what we're gonna do is rough all of this up so that we can apply silicone to it. And then once we cover it all in silicone, we can take this Eco Earth here and just pack it in all over. And that way it'll dry as like a kind of a dirt background. All right, let's see if I can get this thing open right here. I'm gonna try to use this extension so I've got a little more reach down in here, but hopefully they don't try to fly out of it. Doesn't seem to. This is gonna make a mess, so you know, wherever you choose to do this, probably not good on carpet. But anyway, let's get going here. Alright, so as you can see, a few times they try to jerk back on me. Now I'm no foam sanding expert, so this is a first for me. But it seems like when you're going one way, one direction of the drill works better. When you're going another way, another direction works better. But one thing I will say is this does eat through it real quick. And we let this dry for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days because we got busy. But you don't have to wait that long. But I suppose the longer the better. But anyway, we're going to keep shaving away at this here. Alright, I'll tell you what, a little bit dangerous, so be careful with that thing because it can just kind of go wild on you. But if you're like me and you want something done quick, then that's the way to do it, because they'll just eat through probably 70 to 80% of that foam like that. Anyway, I'm going to get a vacuum, we're going to get this cleaned up, and then I'll check back in with you for the last couple of cleanup spots with the knife and the razor. Alright, we got our little vacuuming done. It's starting to get a little bit more of a texture. You can see this starting to look a little more normal and not as bubbly. There's still some little areas here and there I couldn't get too good. And then I don't really like how this is tapered in like this. So we'll see if we can't do something with that. But as for these parts, see, these didn't really stick that well right there. So I think I'm just going to break that off right there. Same way with this one. Just going to break it off. Looks natural. Alright. As for some of the edges here, I'm just going to take this, kind of go through and trim up the edges. Alright, if you can't tell by the look on my face, I'm burning up. We're in the reptile room, as you can see, and it's always nice and toasty back here. But I have to say, doing it with a knife, you can be a lot more selective with your area. But sometimes it is aggravating because you're trying to get the blade at the right angle. I would say both ways are just about as effective, the wheel and the knife. With the knife, I think you got a little bit more control of what you're creating. So if you're like really trying to make some nice fancy stonework with grout or something, I think a knife would be a lot more effective than the wheel. But if you're like me and you're just going to cover it in silicone and put dirt on it, where you can reach with the wheel was a lot less stressful. But either way, I have to say, it's really an enjoyable process. One last part here. I think we're just going to go ahead and snap this part off right here too. So this top part, we're just going to do away with that. And it's just going to connect right here. I kind of like that because my light's going to be going through here. Let's see, where is our scraper? Right here. As I said before in the other video, this stuff right here, it just scrapes right off the glass. So, you know, no issue there. We can just get all this cleaned up, all these little areas. But anyway, I think you got the point there. We're gonna vacuum this up again, and then we should be about ready to put our silicone on. All right, so here's what I got. Do your own research, use what you want. People are gonna say, this has a mold inhibitor, that has mold inhibitor in it. People say, use GE1. GE1 always had inhibitors in it, they just didn't write it on the label until years later. Go find GE1, that's what'll be on there. If you really wanna be safe, use aquarium sealer. Me, I'm going to use this Lexel. So, if you use this, use it at your own caution. But, it's pretty good stuff. It's waterproof. It's life proof. It's stick to everything proof. So that's what we're going to go with. Alright. So we're going to get our Lexel here. And I'm going to try out two methods. So one, I'm going to put a glove on because I'm sure there's going to be some annoying spots that I'm just going to have to try to get by hand. If you have giant hands like me, then you feel my pain. No glove is made for you. But it is what it is. Yes, this is the footage everybody wants. Glove manufacturers everywhere. Fits most sizes. Not my size. Looks all up and down the shelf at the store. No other options. What are you gonna do? Alright, so we got a glove and we got a cheap paintbrush. I have a feeling I'm gonna be using both. So we're gonna take our Lexel here and then we're just gonna start squirting that a little bit everywhere. Get a good area to work with here. Now I'm going to try the brush first because I'm hoping that that's going to be my go-to method. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I have my doubts. I'd say this is going to be more of a hands-on job. Alright. The other thing I don't so much like about the brush is you can't feel what's going on, so you don't know if it's on all the surface good. Oh, and just yeah, you know, I work in construction for a living, so I'm used to glues and sprays and smells, and it doesn't really bother me. But if you're not used to all that, and I mean honestly for your health in general, probably use a well-ventilated area, blah blah blah, wear a mask if you feel the need to do so. I, however, am not because I'm stubborn and I've been breathing this stuff for years. But don't do what I do, be smart, you know. Yeah, I'm thinking the glove method is going to be the best because I can already tell I'm not liking the way that I can't feel what's going on. So, yeah, see, I think I'm going to like this better. I can actually get in here and feel what's getting silicone. I've seen people use I think it's wood glue maybe, and done it with that. You know, I haven't tried any of the methods myself, just seen what people do online. I have worked with enclosures and different things, but I've never made my own background, so this is all trial and error for me. I feel like this isn't, I don't know, it just feels like it's not coating it that great, but you know, that might just be a doubt in my head. Either way, we're going to try it out, and hey, you know what, if we miss some spots, we can always come back later on and do some touch-ups. So, I'm trying to apply it thick. I've already used close to half the bottle, just on the lower half. Unfortunately, I've only got one bottle of this, so I may have to improvise. I do have some aquarium sealer, I know, somewhere in my house, so I may have to use some of that. This is going to be the same scenario as the spray foam. If you get it on the glass, don't sweat it. It scrapes off with a razor scraper. So I have a feeling that some of this is just not going to get covered. But that is a-okay, because there's always something you can do about everything once you get done. I may have enough to do this though. I'm trying to work as fast as I can, because I'm sure the dry time on this is probably not full cure time, probably isn't fast, but dry to touch time is probably faster. So I'm trying to work with it as quick as I can. And like I said, I have a feeling that there's going to be a few spots here and there that's probably not going to get silicone on it. And that's alright. We'll just either come back with some more silicone, or maybe even some paint, and just do some touch-ups. Maybe some dry lock paint with some grout stain in there, or cement stain, either or. Works pretty good. Let's get from this side here. Get a different angle. Make sure we get all the little spots, all the little nooks and crannies, everywhere the little glove can go. I don't know. I mean, it feels like it's getting a pretty good coat. Maybe might not be too bad. We'll know for sure tomorrow when we go to knock all the dirt off of it and see what sticks. Looks like we are going to have enough. That's good. I'll tell you where I already messed up in one spot. Go ahead and put the other glove on, because, you know, it's inevitable. You're going to get it on you. I did. And I'm sure you will too. I think this might just work out alright. though. We're just going to use every bit we can, everywhere we can. Like this little spot right here I was talking about at the beginning of the video. This is the only one we left stuck to the glass here. The rest of them I end up breaking off, but we're just going to cover that with the dirt too, and it's just going to blend it right in like it was made that way. So, some of it gets on the sticks. Oh well, no big deal. It just blends it all together. Pull it right there where the sticks are joined together. You got one good shot at this to get the majority the first time, so you know, take some extra time. Try to get it everywhere you can. That way, hopefully you don't have to do as much touch up afterwards. But like we said, if you do, no big deal. Alright. I'll get a new glove here. Big hands, guy issues, scene 2. Alright. Alright, what we're gonna do, we've got this bag of Eco Earth here. You can probably use anything you want. You could use Eco Earth, you could use coconut fiber. We've got some budget dirt over there in the corner from Lowe's, organic dirt, topsoil. Probably use that. I've got this, and I like the color of it. So this is what I'm going to use. Don't be greedy with it. Just dump in there as much as you can because you want it to get in every nook and cranny and stick on that silicone. We want it to get good and covered, so hopefully we don't have to go through this again. In fact, I'm just going to dump full in there. I want this to, I can always get this stuff back out, no big deal. I'm just going to pat all this down. Kind of tap it in everywhere, hoping that you're pressing it into the silicone. You could go for a looser layer where you feel like you're working with it better. I'm going to go with the let's cover it with as much as we can motto. So hopefully it'll all Get a good coat. Alright. Right now, you get a pile of dirt. But, hopefully later, you get an awesome looking wall. So let's check back in and see how this turns out. Alright guys, it's now been 24 hours since last night. we've got the floor already pretty clean, so I'm just gonna dump this right into the floor and then scoop it back up and put it back in the bag because this stuff's a little bit pricey. But we're gonna see how this turns out here. So let's make a mess. Alright. Like I say, for the first attempt here, not too bad. I do see a few little patchy spots here and there, but once we scrape these sides and we can touch up a spot here or there, I think actually for shot number one that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and scrape these sides, clean that up, give it a little vacuum, and then we'll check back in with you. Alright, so as I suspected, there was a little bit of spots that were missed here and there. And I didn't finish completely scraping because I'm about to make some more mess. But I have to say, it covered a lot more than I thought it was going to. So since we're already going to have to add some more, what I'm going to do is just take some of this topsoil, this organic topsoil, and I'm going to fill in the spots that didn't get it. And since that's a darker color, it'll, you know, just give a little contrast to it. Since we're already going to do this anyway, might as well put a little bit of contrast in here and there. Alright, as you can see, this is quite a bit of a stark difference as color goes. So like I said, since we already have to fill in some spots, why not use a different color of paint, so to speak, and give it some contrast. And I think all the cracks along the walls here, I can probably pack full of this and it'll stay in there pretty good. So that'll work as an added bonus as well. But just give it a little different look. The only thing I have to say that I'm not the craziest about is I do wish that not as much of the wood would have gotten silicone and substrate on it. But you know, this is my first time doing one of these, and we're not trying to win a beauty contest anyway. In the end, we're just trying to make a functional, half-decent looking enclosure for affordable price while being a little more realistic. So, I guess this will be about the same scenario as the other day. We'll check back in about another 24 hours and see how this has turned out. I'm just going to finish patting this down. And like All right. We'll be checking back in with you again. All right. So it's been another day, and I'm ready to get going on with this. So we're gonna dump this out and see how it turned out. Hopefully all the spots are covered up, but at this point, even if they're not, I'm just gonna mix up some dry lock paint and some stain for brown color or something and just touch it up, because I'm ready to get this going and I'm already out of silicone, so we'll just touch up any area if they're not. So with that, we're just gonna do the same as yesterday. We'll make a good old mess and dump it in the floor and see how this is gonna turn out. Just go ahead and turn this over. All right, I think that's a pretty good success. There are just a few little spots here and there that are kind of poking through, which I kind of figured there would be. But overall, it's pretty well covered. And I gotta say, that little bit of contrast made a big difference on this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this vacuumed and scraped and looked at, and then we're gonna move forward from there. But I'm happy with how this turned out. All right, well, we got it scraped out as good as I want it, and we got it vacuumed out pretty good. It's looking good. Next step, we're gonna glue this door on, because I'm gonna have it laying down to glue it. I got some aquarium sealer here. I would have used the other stuff I had, but I ran out, so I just dug this out. Probably gonna make a mess here, but that is okay. I just had a piece of cardboard back here wiping my excess on. So you can tell which one's the top and bottom, because the bottom's got this for a substrate layer. There's more of a vent on the top. I'm just going to set that right in there. You can see the edge get dark as you press it in. Pushes the air gaps out. That is it. All right. Next time when we check back in, we'll be putting some plants in. All right. Well, we definitely come a long way. Now we're down to the part where I told you I'm gonna have to do some touch-ups. So I don't know how well you can see from afar, but we'll give you a little close-up here. So if you come in close, you can see a few. Actually, they don't look bad on camera, but there are a few spots where the foam is showing. So what I'm going to do is I've got some dry lock original paint right here. A little cheap mixing cup and brush. It's like 3 or 4 bucks worth. And then I've got some grout refresh. It's just stain for grout. There's also a cement stain that you can use. It's a little bit cheaper, but the Lowe's that I went to didn't have the color I was looking for. So I bought this instead. It was like 17 bucks. But for what we're doing, I barely need any. So that, I'm gonna get this shook up and get some paint mixed up, and then we'll get back with you. All right, so we got our dry lock and our grout stain here. We're just gonna mix this in. I may have to add some more of the grout stain. Definitely gonna have to add some more grout stain. Alright, There's not a lot of spots that didn't get it, but there's just a few. So we're just gonna dab this in here. Honestly, hopefully this dries a darker color than what it is, because I'm really not feeling this color of brown. Well, I think that's about as much as I can spread it out right there. So what we'll do is we'll just wait until this dries, and I'm not too wild about the color. Like I said, right now while it's still wet, it's gonna have that wet look and stand out, and it's gonna be lighter. So hopefully when it dries, it won't look shiny and it'll darken down a little bit, and it'll just kind of blend in with everything. And if not, we'll just get another color and go over it again. Alright, well, the paint turned out alright. There's a few little spots that I did miss, and when I first painted it, this continuation is a few days later, and it was a little bit light. I actually wasn't happy with it, so I kind of put off touching it up, and I got some darker stain to mix with what I had. And then now, after it's sit for about a week, I think me and my wife agreed that it's darkened down a little bit. So I'm gonna roll with it like this. I think this is pretty good. Now we've got some plants here. I acquired these plants from Lowe's, and I've got some organic topsoil, you know, with nothing in it. There's all kinds of precautions when you buy plants from Lowe's. It could carry in bugs and a lot of things. So do your research on quarantining your plants and cleaning them out well and all that. Unfortunately, we have a fern here. He didn't really make it. So I think I'm not going to use this one. And I also had some really cool moss here. It's really dried out, but it still has the roots. And I might give it a chance, because I think I could glue it on a spot or two. There's a good chance it might rehydrate. And even if it doesn't, oh well, who cares? So I'm going to check back in with you after we get some dirt in here and we get all this stuff unpotted and ready to put in. Alright, before I do start working on the plants, we're going to get this substrate layer ready here. So you can see from the beginning, I left the background up just a little bit. I guess you could just put a background anyway, it doesn't really matter, but hey, that's a little bit more substrate and a little less background to work on. Now what I have here is some dwarf white isopods. I don't know if, let's see, if my wife can zoom in right here. You can see, can you see that on camera, honey? So you can see a little one right there. And there's some scattered through here. They're dwarf white, so they're pretty small. This is already moistened and ready with sphagnum moss in it. And then I've got some sphagnum moss for some old projects here. So I put down a little thin layer of dirt, and what we're going to do is put this on top of it. Now, a lot of people go the method of putting a drainage layer. So you may want to put a drainage layer in yours. I'm not going to put one in mine, but that is something good because it gives a spot for water to escape. I tend to water on the lighter side, so I want my soil to hold that moisture in a little more. And then also we have some springtails in here. So we'll get our dwarf whites in there, and we'll get our springtails in, and then that'll be the start of some of our bioactive in here. Alright, so we got our dirt in, we got our dirt in here, we got our plants separated, and we got some different things that we're going to try and incorporate here. Now here is the 3 types of potted plants that I used. If you want to pause that right there, and you can see. One thing to know about, well, not just plants you get at Lowe's, but from a lot of places, depending on the plants you usually get them in clusters. It's not actually just one big plant, you'll get multiples. Like for instance, I got 12 pieces of pothos out of that one pot. There was a big pot laying here that you saw in the beginning of the video. We actually replanted that into the moss pot and didn't even use it because there were so many in this one. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, well, actually before I even get started on those, I am going to try to put this moss on the wall here. I'm thinking maybe right there looks pretty good. And you probably can't see it because they're full of dirt, but here, here, and here are our pots. They're kind of blending in. Now what I got right here is some Gorilla Super Glue Gel. We use it in the aquarium hobby a lot because once it gets wet with water, it basically just turns into inert plastic. So you can use it to glue plants to things. So, alright, I'm gonna put a few dots of this. Around on this moss. And we're gonna stick that right to the wall. Michelle, you saw me that mister right there? Alright. Give that a little miss so that'll harden up that glue. And then we've got one, and I can probably squeeze this little baby piece in somewhere. I hope this comes back to life and takes off on the wall. That would be pretty awesome. But if not, it'll just be some other piece of something hanging off the wall. So either way, we're not out nothing. I'll tell you what, if you don't have one of these right here, you should get them. They're a little bit pricey. They sell them at Lowe's, but it's battery powered. And I've owned this thing for probably almost a year and charged it like 3 times. And I use it on the regular. It is awesome. There's a little random tip for you. Alright. That is right there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start planting some of my plants here in the bottom. If you can't see me all that great, I apologize. I'll try to keep my big head out of the way as much as I can, but no promises. Alright. Got a little bit of leaf litter here. Just kind of sprinkle that around on the ground. And a few pieces of cork bark. We'll just toss those in there randomly. And lastly, just give everything a good mist down. Alright. I'll tell you what, that right there just looks like a little slice of nature out of the forest. Now what I may do is I may just give this time for the plants to grow in and establish before I put our lychee in there to trample it. I'm sure you know what me sticking a lychee in there looks like. So, well, I'll tell you what, I'll get right back to you and then I'll show you what he looks like going in, but we won't actually put him in. Alright, here's our lychee. So you get an idea of what it looked like for him to go in there. Like I said, we're not going to put him in yet because I want to give these plants time to grow in before we put our little buddy in there. But hey, if you've seen our buddy in the past, Fluffy, the Leachianus gecko, when we first got him, he has grown quite a bit. So this is his upgrade he's going to be getting. Now this isn't his permanent home because he will need something bigger, but I already have this tank laying around, so why not? Alright, so this is the little guy set up right now. As you can see, he's starting to get a little cramped in there. I mean, he's not like completely out of room. This is going to be a big upgrade for him. Alright everyone, I appreciate you watching as always. I really enjoyed this build and it gave me a lot of confidence that I didn't have before. I was always a little intimidated with the backgrounds, but now that I've done it, I'm pretty confident that I can do a lot more. So probably see more of that in the future. Anyway, as always, I appreciate you watching. And remember, your hobby can bring you joy, but only Jesus can bring you peace. Hope to see you guys in the next one.